Welcome to Inspired Vinyasa. My name is Sandra, and for this class, we're going to start standing. I know that'll make everybody happy. I want you to take the feet a little bit wider than the hips so that you feel completely grounded to the earth, nice and secure. Push the feet into the ground and pull energy up through the body. So there's this lengthening coming up the legs, up the spine, all the way to the crown chakra. And then let's bring the shoulders up. Take them back and down. The hands will naturally rotate slightly forward. Let's leave them like that. Draw the stomach in just a little. And then lastly, what I want you to do is, I want you just to pull the head back so the neck is more in line with the spine, so that we don't have the head out here and the jaw out in front of us. We're going to pull it back in. All right, now close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Big exhale. Congratulate yourself for making it to your mat. Appreciate that this time is for you, so tune out everything else in your environment. Take another deep breath in through the nose. Another big exhale. And then inhale the arms all the way up. Exhale the hands to your heart in prayer pose. And let's set an amazing intention for our practice. When you're done, release the hands. Let's go ahead and widen out the stance. You might find that you are actually off your mat, which is totally okay. It's a safe space, right? All right, and then I want you to just pull the heels in. Bend on down into our knees, finding a goddess pose, but take the hands to the thighs. Let's just move around here for a moment. Link the movement with the breath. 2 more times. If you feel like we're starting out working, we're not, I promise, and you'll be happy when you hear the theme. I want you to come down into goddess, drop one shoulder forward, and then the other. Our theme is a Sanskrit word, Suhka, S-U-H-K-A, Suhka. The first syllable, su, means good, and the second syllable, ka, means space. So literally translated, Suhka means good space. That isn't exactly the definition that most people are using. It means, go ahead, come on, round through the spine, come on up. It means happiness and bliss, but in a different sense than our English translation of happiness and bliss. It means long-lasting happiness and bliss. Long-lasting, not just a temporary, wow, that flower really made me happy. We go inside, we forget about it. So that's the difference. Take that left arm up, find a side bend here. And so the Rig Veda, which is one of the ancient Sanskrit texts, it differentiates between pleasure and then this idea of sukha. Pleasure is temporary. Pleasure is that flower you saw. Sukha, it's more of what we're striving for. Whether it's obtainable or not, I leave that answer up to you. Go ahead, come on back to center. Bring the shoulders up and back a few times. Take that right arm up, side bend to the left. So on the mat, we want to use that definition of good space, right? I know you're not going to be happy and blissful for the next 75 or so minutes because there are going to be some poses, there have to be some poses that your mind isn't going to necessarily love, right? Which means it automatically takes you out of that long-lasting blissful space. Go ahead, come on back. Rotate the shoulders again a few times, backwards. Perfect. And then let's bring the legs back in towards each other. Find your balance, shift your weight into that left foot. Let's lift the heel of the right foot. When you have your balance, let's lift this leg up into crane. You can do whatever you want to with the arms. Deepen the breath here. Right hand to the right knee. Open this hip out to the side. Woo. I still can't get used to the carpet under my mat. Oh well. So my balance is temporary. It is not long lasting, like Suhka. Bring the knee back forward, set that leg down, inhale the arms up, exhale to the heart. Shift the weight into that right foot. Lift the left heel, find your balance. When you're ready, lifting that left leg into crane, use your arms to help you balance like a Libra scale. Left hand to the left knee, open up the hip. Make sure you're not holding the breath. Bring the knee back to center, set that leg down, inhale the arms. Exhale, hands through the heart center, turn the fingers to the earth. Come on down into Uttanasana, forward fold. Now make this a compassionate fold. So first fold, first stretch here, move around quite a bit. You might shift your weight forward and backwards in the feet. If you want to, you can widen out the feet and kind of give yourself permission to move in all directions. Perfect. If you took the feet wide, let's bring them back in towards each other. Find that fold and try to hold it for a moment. Inhale, monkey. Exhale, bend into the knees. Come on down onto the mat. Okay, so what does good space mean on the mat in your yoga practice? It means that, we want the poses to be a little bit challenging, but not so much that the mind is upset by that, right? We have to be able to settle easily into a pose, be happy there, but yet the pose needs to be good for us all around, right? Mentally, physically, spiritually. If we're stuck in a pose where pain has entered, there is not a possibility for you to be in a good space. Does that make sense? So that's Suhka on the mat. All right, from here, I want you to find half boat, or the, I forgot. It just totally left my head. It'll come back to me in a second. Okay. So anyway, wrap the hands behind the thighs. Or the Navasana. I knew it'd come back to me in a sec. The mind is getting slower and slower. Breathe here. Okay, go ahead and hang on. Round out the spine, drop the chin. You might have to play around with the balance a little, right? Okay, straighten that spine, sit back up. So here's your inhale. Exhale, round it out. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, round it out. Inhale. One more. Good job. We're going to set the left foot down. I'm going to reach forward and grab onto the bottom of that right foot and just stretch it out a little bit. Remember, it doesn't have to straighten, right? If it doesn't want to, don't force it to, or you're not going to be in that good space. You can move this leg around if you need to or want to. So if Suhka means long-lasting happiness, how come we can't stay there, right? Happiness is temporary. Essentially, happiness is temporary, right? Think of something that makes you extremely happy, or has in the past, 24, 48 hours. Think of something that made you happy. We don't stay in that happy state. Eventually, the trigger goes away, fades off or whatever. And we move back into maybe a status quo of being in a balanced emotion, right? But the happiness is temporary. Disappointment, frustration, sadness, those are temporary as well. I need to let that one sink in for a moment. Let's pull this leg just a tad closer, just a tad. Okay, set that foot down, let's switch. Rock it out, move around. I think as we start to discuss this a little more, it will make sense as to why one of the Buddhist philosophies is non-attachment. If you are not attached to always seeking happiness, then you're always in a neutral state. You don't have to worry about the disappointment that follows when happiness leaves. Same with disappointment. You stay in a neutral state, and you don't have to venture into that place of sadness and when will happiness come again, right? All right, pull that leg in just a little closer. Set it down. Grab on in front of the knees, round out the spine, drop the head, hold it here. All right, now let's come to table. We're going to warm up the spine a little bit before we get going in our sequence. So let's find cat-cow initially. And while you are happily transitioning between cat and cow, I want you to think of something recently that made you sad. Now, try to separate from the emotion of it because I don't want you to actually be sad. I just want you to think of what caused that sadness. While you're thinking about that, I want you to widen out the knees here. And I want you to take our table pose from side to side. You can make it a side-to-side cat-cow table pose, kind of a circle going around if you want to. Just really loosening up the back. And then keeping the knees wide, let's tuck the toes and take this up into a wider legged downward facing dog. You can play around here if you want to. If you need to walk out the legs a little bit, if the hamstrings are tight, go ahead. Energetically push the heels to the ground. If the heels actually touch the ground, see if you can lift up the toes. Couple of deep breaths here. Good job. Set the toes down if you lifted them up. Let's lift the heels. And then notice when I lift the heels, my shoulders don't move forward. It's just the hips lifting higher, right? There's a tendency when we lift the heels in dog to move out over the shoulders. So we don't want to do that. We're just lifting the hips. Breathe. Good job. Start to round the spine. And now come forward into plank. Slow, slow, slow. Good job. So draw the abs in, pinch them tight, breathe. Nice. Drop the knees, keep them wide. Pull the feet in together, take it to Balasana, child's pose. Stretch it out. I'm just realizing that my dog must have slept on my yoga mat last night, so don't mind me if I'm brushing off dog hairs here. Take a few breaths in Balasana. So the reason I asked you what caused you to be sad is because the source of our discontent is a want. We want something, or we want something to occur. right? It's all based on wants. For instance, maybe it doesn't have to be sadness too. This works with jealousy. Your neighbor got a new car that you would love to have but can't afford. That's a want, right? Let's see, what made you sad? Well, I was sad that we kind of had to postpone my son's birthday plans, and that we can't have his friends over as freely as one could in previous years. But that's a want. I want him to have his friends over. I want him to be happy. So trace your discontent to the want that it is linked to. And then I need you to recognize the difference between a want and a need. And this is a really great lesson, excuse me, dog hair, concerning, what we're experiencing in our world right now. Come back to the table. We all want things to go back to being normal. I'm going to put normal in quotes because they're not going there. Actually, they're never going there. It's a change, a new status quo. Tuck the toes, lift the dog. Everybody wants to be able to do the things they used to, but it's not a necessity. It is not. I'm sorry. It is. You can argue with me via email if you want to. It's just not a necessity to have to go to a restaurant. It's not. You can cook. Well, you know what I mean. Maybe you can't cook, but you can try. Go ahead, come forward in the plank. I'm just saying that Buddha said that our discontentment, stay in plank, hug the abs in, comes from wants that we have. That's what it's linked to. And wants are linked to attachments. So once we release that, perhaps we find our Suhka. All right, big breath in. Exhale, Chaturanga. Let's take that into Cobra. Bhujangasana, hang on right here. I want you to breathe into the low back. See if you can soften the low back. And slowly come down. Perfect. Tuck the toes. Take it to plank. Downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths. And then come on back into table for a second. Sit back on your heels. I want you to take the palms together, interlace the fingers so that, they're commingled into fists, and then rotate. This is a good thing to remember to do. If you notice that your wrists get a little unhappy, dukkha, opposite of sukha, from all the planks, the downward dogs, right, even the tables. So we just want to pause to work out the wrists a little bit. Another way we can work out the wrists, come on back to the table. I'm going to turn my fingers out just slightly. Left fingers to the left, right fingers to the right. And then I just want to take my hands about 1/2 inch wider than they were, so they're a little wider than my shoulders. And then rock your weight over to the left. Hold it right there. Breathe. And then over to the right. Come back to center. Turn the left hand to the left. Fingers are directly to the left. Turn the right hand, fingers directly to the right. Shift your weight to the left. Close your eyes here. Take it to the right. So Buddha taught that the leading cause of suffering is the impermanence of happiness. Come back to center. I want you to bring the hands back under the shoulders, but come to knuckles. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. One more. All right, perfect. Walk the hands in towards you, come up onto the knees. Take the arms up. Exhale the hands to the heart. You ready to get this party started? Perfect. Hands to the earth. Tuck the toes. Take it to forward fold. You'll be at the back of your mat. Inhale, monkey. Exhale. Let it go. Round your way all the way up. Take the arms up. Exhale them to the heart. Turn the fingers to the earth. Pull back down into your fold. Walk your hands forward, downward facing dog. That left leg is lifting, three-legged. Go ahead and open that top hip. Let's keep the legs straight here for a moment. So I pull the left hip back, right? Look underneath that left arm, breathe. And I'm not sure if I have room here for flying pigeon, but if you do, go ahead. Woo. Perfect, deep inhale. As you exhale, take that left foot, sweep it all the way forward between the hands. Rotate that back foot, come on up, warrior A. So Virabhadrasana A. Nice. Open this up into warrior B. Reverse warrior. So as the arms come back to warrior B, straighten out that front leg, push the right hip to the right. We're just going to make one swift movement into Trikonasana, triangle. Good job. Take that top arm, bring it around behind your low back. Take your gaze down towards that left foot. We're going to bend into that left knee. Perfect. Left hand to the inside of the left foot. So you don't want that right shoulder to drop. Mine's dropping because I'm trying to kind of tuck around my left shoulder towards you. But I wanted to be facing away from you for this. So option A, stay right here. Option B, drop the left shoulder inside of the left knee. That way we can get the left arm to come through, and maybe we can find a bind here. I said maybe. You can grab onto, your yoga clothes if you can't find the other hand. If you have the fingers, then try to lift, lengthen, and pull the top shoulder back. Breathe. Find your good space in your head. All right, on an inhale, left hand to the earth, right arm up, re-straighten that front leg. Warrior B. Reverse warrior, let's hold it right here. Cartwheel the hands to the earth, step back to plank. Take your vinyasa. When you get to dog, big inhale. Cleansing exhale. Send that right leg up behind you, three-legged. Open the hip. We're going to keep the leg straight right now. Turn to look under that right armpit. Lengthen, breathe. Flying pigeon by bending that top knee. Right foot is sweeping forward between the hands. Plant that back foot, warrior A. Big inhale. Exhale, warrior B. Reverse warrior. Now remember, from reverse warrior, we made a smooth transition, right? Smooth into Trikonasana. So as the arms start to shift, I'm going to straighten my right leg, start jutting out that left hip, and find my way to triangle. Happy place, good space. So from here, we took the top arm, we brought it down behind our back. Nice. We looked down, we bent into that front leg, move the hand if it's not there already to inside of the right foot. So we made this option A, which it still is, or you've got to get a little lower. You got to drop that right shoulder inside the right knee. Then the right arm can get through, rotate to come up behind and grab on to the other hand. Breathe. So even if the pose is hard, even if you hate the pose, can you get your mind in a good space? Deepen the breath. All right, deep inhale. Exhale. Take the right hand back to the earth. Start to straighten out that leg, send the left arm up, and when you're ready, warrior B. Reverse warrior, hold that for a moment. Cartwheel the hands to the earth, step back to plank. Here's your vinyasa. Fabulous. 3 deep breaths right here. We're going to drop on down to the knees, untuck the toes. Let's take that right leg. I want you to bring it forward, but I don't want you to straighten it yet. Just have it in a comfortable position. I'm going to bring my hands backwards to guide me a little bit. I want to draw that left leg in so I can sit back onto that heel. So if that's not okay with you, change this however you need it to be. Once I find that heel, I'm dropping off to the right of it. So again, this is up to you if this is okay with your leg. If it's not, get this leg out in front of you. It's totally fine. Right leg, straighten it out. Okay. Are you sitting on both sit bones? Can you feel the left one touching the mat? If you cannot, can you get it there? And if you say no, then perhaps this isn't quite the right pose for you. And you might want to bring this leg around and rest the foot up on top of the thigh so it's kind of more in a pigeon pose. All right, big inhale. Exhale, let's hinge forward right here. Find your happy place. So while you're there, let me share a quote with you. This is by Gandhi. I object to violence because when it appears to do good, the good is only temporary. The evil it does is permanent. And, you know, since we were taking this idea of Suhka and wants and needs and relating it to what's going on, I thought that was a very important quote. You know, we can act out in the names of our beliefs, but there are residual consequences to that. If we're looking for Suhka, we're looking for it for everybody, right? That everlasting happiness. So actions, thoughts, words, they all are so important. They're important gates to recognize before you shove the gate open and do something without thinking it through, right? Go ahead, make your way back up. We're going to tip into the right hip. Free this leg. Woo. Straighten it out. Shake them out for a moment. When you're ready, half boat, Ardha Navasana. Go ahead and grab onto the legs. Sit up nice and tall. Option A, stay right here. Option B, you might just loosen up the arms a little so your legs have some room. Can we take this to full boat? So we're looking for that good space. I'm hoping that adding the arms hanging onto the legs is taking you into the ease of the pose, right? Could be so much harder if we let go. Fabulous. Release the feet, push your way back up. Right into Uttanasana. Inhale, monkey. Let it go. So I don't know about you, I ended up in the middle of my mat, so I am going to walk my fold backwards here. From here, I'm going to take the hands back forward, find downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Perfect. Take the feet to the width of the mat and sway the hips back and forth. We're going to bring the feet back in, hip distance apart. Big inhale. Exhale, knees to table. This time it's the left leg that's going to slide through. Keep it bent. We don't want to straighten this leg out yet. And then when you're ready, I'll tuck the back toes. See about sitting back onto that right heel. And then slipping off of it to its left. And then resituate. I want to feel both sit bones on the ground if I can. Make sure this is okay for your knee. Ideally, the top of the foot that's pulled back is down towards the earth. I don't have my foot rotated. Go ahead, sit up nice and tall. Exhale, let's find a fold here. Good job. Go ahead, make your way back up. Tip into the left hip. Straighten out that right leg. Shake them out for a moment. Perfect. And then I need to scooch more in the middle of my mat since I ended up way back there again. We're going to lay all the way back. We're going to get into a couple of twists. We'll hold them for a moment because I need to share with you a Zen story, and I might as well have you in a good space while I'm talking your ear off, right? So laying back, let's go ahead and hug the knees in for a moment. Perfect. Stretch out that left leg. We're going to take our supine twist to the left. And you can do whatever you want to with the arms. You can make up some new variations if you want to. You could do the yin pose of grabbing the cat's tail by taking the right hand and grabbing onto the left foot. Totally up to you. So find where you're happy in this twist. Close your eyes. Let me tell you about this Zen story. It's called Is That So? This is off my recollection. It won't be verbatim. So you can look up the story if you'd rather read it word for word. So there was a monk who lived on the edge of a town, and he was very revered. All the townspeople loved him. They would bring him gifts. They brought him food. They talked highly of him. He was very admired. And when they would tell him how fabulous he was, he would simply reply, "Is that so? Is that so?" Well, one day there was a knock at his door, and there was a young girl who was pregnant, and she was very upset. She was afraid to tell her parents because they would not approve of the young man who had fled to another town. She felt that her family would have injured him, so she didn't know what to do. And the monk said, "Well, I have another room. You can stay here with me, so at least you and your child have a house to be in." And so she did. Because of that, all of a sudden, the townspeople thought, what a horrible, horrible monk. How could he take advantage of this young girl? They said bad things about him. They threw things at him when they saw him out in town. They told him how awful he was. And to his reply was, "Is that so? Is that so?" Now hold on for a second. I want you to switch your pose to the other side. I want you to pause when you hit center so you can let the muscles relax. But since I told you guys you could do whatever variation you wanted, and then I can't see you, I can't talk you out of your variation, so I am trusting you to get into it on the other side on your own. Give me a moment there. Okay. So 2 years went by, and the young man came back to the town, and he addressed the girl's parents and said, I have done some studying. I now have a trade. I have a good job. I can take care of your daughter and your grandchild. The parents were elated, and the young girl married the young man, and the monk was once again on his own. When the townspeople heard what had happened, all of a sudden, their attitude changed. It reverted back to the original attitude of, oh my gosh, this monk is so good, he's so amazing, he's so kind. And they started fawning all over him, to which he would, of course, just reply, is that so? Is that so? Why am I telling you this story? Well, I thought it was a good example of how situations can be temporary, right? Everyone loved this monk. He actually really didn't do anything, right? He didn't do anything wrong. Everyone loved him, but then all of a sudden, one thing changed. One element of change came into the picture. And his situation, how he was looked at, was all of a sudden temporary. It was gone. It changed to the opposite, to hatred and disgust, to which he stayed equally balanced, right? That is because he's not attached to what anybody thinks of him. He can stay in that place of, okay, fine, is that so? Right? And then when the truth came out, the situation he was in of being hated was also temporary. And he went back to being loved, but he stayed right in that middle ground, that balanced place of non-attachment. Take a deep breath. Come on out of your twist. Stretch it out. Perfect. And then let's take the arms up towards the ceiling. Start to roll your way all the way up. Grab your blanket. If you are watching this on YouTube and you don't have a blanket, could you pause for a moment and grab one? And I will be here waiting, I promise, when you come back and you hit play. All right. So my blanket's a little poofy, so I opened mine up a bit wider. You want this out behind you. And I'm going to lay back. I want to align the edge of my shoulders with the edge of this blanket so that my neck is not on the blanket. Neither is my head, obviously. And then I want you just to go ahead and have the knees bent, hug one knee in and then the other. Just going to hang out right here for a second. And now that I'm thinking about it, I need to scooch away from my door because I'm going to run into it. So let me back down my mat a little bit. We're going to work on plow, but there's different variations of plow that we can do. If you have back issues, I would rather, and you don't know what plow is, I'd rather you watch first and then try it. If you know you shouldn't do this pose, guess what? You get to stay right here in Apanasan in a very good space, hugging the knees in, and then you can catch up with us when we come out of the pose. Sound fair? All right, perfect. So to get into plow, let's get our arms down alongside us, palms facing down. Knees will be pulling in. And then get the hips up, right? Ugh. And just rest the knees on the forehead. That's easy plow. So first of all, do not turn your head in this pose. I know I'm angling my head to talk to you, but when you have all the weight on your neck, you don't want to turn your head. You could very easily pinch a muscle or a nerve in the neck, and then you're going to be really unhappy with me. So please just keep your head looking straight up. You don't have to see me. I will cue you through everything. As you hover here in easy pose or easy plow, I want you to notice how the back feels. If your back is already in a not happy place, it's in dukkha, you might consider getting your hands to support the low back and backing out of this a little. You could actually take the knees up toward the ceiling, hold the weight in your hands if you want to, of your hips, and just hover right here. So I want you to be very careful. Pay attention to what the back is telling you. There are some days I can be in plow. There are other days I can't go anywhere near it. So it's okay. It's normal. All right. So I need you to get your hands to your low back and start wiggling the elbows in towards each other. Okay, how are we going to do that? We really need our shoulders to tuck under. So I'm going to have to get my hips up a little higher and start working into plow. So to do that, I'm slowly going to stretch one leg. What did I just say? Oh, there's a block there. I'm going to stretch out one leg and then the other. Fabulous. Wow, if you have a block way above your head, you can rest your toes on it. Now, I can see my picture on the screen too. Do you see how my back is at like about a 45-degree angle? I technically want my back to be a lot straighter. So working into that is going to depend on how your back feels today, which is why I said, well, if you get your arms and elbows underneath you, you can prop your back up a little bit easier. Oop, there goes my block. I'm also running out of room here, so to get completely straight with my spine, I can't quite. Let me kick my block out of the way. Hold on. My dog's on the other side of the door. He's probably like, what is going on? Anyway, it's up to you. If you want to or can, straighten both legs out overhead. Don't worry about your feet touching the floor. If they do, fine, great. If they don't worry about it. I'd rather you focus on keeping the legs straight and lifting the back of the thighs up to get out of plow when you need to. Bend your legs back in, slowly roll out of the pose. Do not completely come out all at once. I need you to be very mindful of your back. So having said that, let's take a break from plow. Come on out slowly. I'm going to move my blanket. For me, this was really too poofy, but I like you to have the blanket under your shoulders. It protects the neck a little bit better. It takes some of that weight off. Let's hug the knees in, rock this out. We'll try again. All right, when you're ready. I just think it's easier to come into easy plow first because then you can get your hips up and you can get your knees rested. When you're ready, send one leg over, then the other. So if you're looking at your screen, you can see if I bend my knees, then my thighs cave in, right? This is kind of a typical position. We need to lift the thighs. So that's why I'm saying your feet might not touch the ground to do that. That's okay. Couple more breaths. Good job. Bend one knee in first. Slowly roll out as you bend the other knee. And you can use your hands on the earth to help guide you. Perfect. Stretch it out. I got to see what I'm about to kick. Take the arms overhead. And let go. Just close your eyes for a moment. Let that kind of sink in. Plow's not an easy pose. You know, what kind of chaos did it put your mind in? Were you able to calm the mind down and find that good space on the mat? Or perhaps you found that you honored ahimsa and you decided not to do that pose. I applaud you. Like I said, there are days I know I can't do it. I won't even attempt it. Couple more breaths here. All right, perfect. Bring the arms back down. Let's go ahead and make our way back up. I want to come back into table. And then again, I just want you to do some movements here. It could be cat-cow. It could be rotating. It could be circles. Whatever your spine is asking you to do to release what occurred in plow pose, go ahead. Perfect. All right, let's take it to dog. Fabulous. Come on forward into plank. Breathe. Pinch the abs. Straight line. I'm going to drop down onto my forearms. I'm going to move my feet right next to each other. I'm pivoting on the right elbow so that the right forearm comes out in front of me. I can tip then on the outer sole of my right foot and take that left arm up. Breathe. If you're feeling crazy, you could drop the hips not to touch the mat. Hover and lift. Hover and lift. I said if you're feeling crazy, you don't have to do it. I'm not really feeling crazy right now, so just giving you an option. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, bring that left hand down. Make your way back to plank. Whew, you got this. Drop onto the forearms. Pivot on the left elbow so that forearm's in front of you. Come onto the outer edge of the left foot. Send the right arm up. Breathe. Again, if you were crazy on the first side, you should be crazy on the second. Good job. Come on back. Drop to the stomach. Reverse Shavasana for a moment. Whew. You stay there. Close your eyes. I have another quote for you. This is Ralph Waldo Emerson. Happiness is just an illusion caused by the temporary absence of reality. You know, I read that and I thought, well, that's depressing. But on another level, I don't know, kind of amusing. I mean, what is reality? I don't think it's, using the word illusion is also interesting. Okay, perhaps you could say happiness is an illusion because it's temporary, but then you would also have to say that sadness is also an illusion because it's temporary. And what I would like to suggest as a homework assignment to you is the next time you find yourself in a temporary emotion, which actually they all are, instead of saying, I am sad because this occurred, or I'm angry because a driver cut me off, I just want you to say, I'm sad, period. I'm angry, period. I want you to get rid of what follows, which is usually some type of excuse or blame. It gives power to the emotion rather than you. So I just want you to learn how to just state the emotion you're feeling. You don't have to add on. You don't have to justify it to anybody, and you don't have to justify it to yourself. If you're sad, you're sad. Okay? That's the homework assignment for this class. And then if you notice, again, that your emotions are due to wants, I want you to start coming back to this idea of, are things a want or are they a need? Makes it a little bit easier, right? All right. Let's come out of reverse Shavasana. I'm sorry. I know you probably don't want to, but we are. So come back up into table. And then I'm going to just bring my left knee into center. Take the right leg forward and around to the other side of that leg and go ahead and just sit back. So that front knee is going to pop up. It doesn't have a choice. Yeah, just sit back. Now, see if you can get the ribs to come down to rest on that top leg. And then just slowly walk your way back. Switch. Yeah, find your fold. Perfect. Come on back to table. Cross one ankle over the other. Sit back. We're not really done with boat yet. Okay. So what I want you to do first, keep the knees bent. Just drape your arms over them. Sit up tall. Close your eyes. 3 deep breaths. I want you to notice how calm and peaceful your mind is. Soften the body. Just releasing whatever you need to. You're in a good space. You have found Suhka on the mat. That means long lasting, so we're not going to let it go. We are not going to replace our peaceful happiness with anything else that boat pose might bring in. Now, Suhka is a practice. So if you get into boat and immediately you feel something else, like frustration maybe, or you want to throw a yoga block at me, but you can't because we're not in the same room, then I want you to take a deep breath, bring the feet back down, and find Suhka again, and see if you can make a change. Yeah? All right. When you're ready, you're peaceful, you're happy, you can keep your eyes open or closed, doesn't matter to me. Release the arms, sit up tall. Let's find Ardha Navasana, half boat. Breathe. If you want to take this to full boat, straighten out the legs. Breathe. Breathe. Arms can go wherever you want them to. Nice. Good job. Come on down. Cobbler. Soles of the feet together, knees wide. Sitting up nice and tall. Go ahead and kind of add a side bend there to the right. Hang on to your feet for support. Inhale, center. Nice and long back. Exhale to the left. Good job. Come back to center. Open the legs out wide. Upavista Konasana. And so I like to get in front of the sit bones, and I like to just kind of work the backs of my legs down into the ground. I don't know, it's like a little massage for the back of the legs, but also an experience in grounding and kind of just connecting with the earth energy, right? Bring the hands out in front of you. You decide where your fold is going to end up, right? Doesn't matter, it can be anywhere. Take your time getting there. When you get into your fold, close your eyes. While you're there, I have one more quote for you. It's by Marilyn Vassavant. Being defeated is often a temporary condition. Giving up is what makes it permanent. So this idea of looking at all situations as temporary, right? Doesn't that make the bad stuff seem like it's easier to get through? You know there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You know it has to take a change. It's not going to stay there, right? And then just remember, when I say it has to take a change, it doesn't mean, as I alluded to at the beginning of this class, doesn't mean it goes back to what you consider normal, right? What our world is going through right now is not going back to how things used to be. It cannot. That's not even possible. And would you actually want it to? It's going to evolve into something that perhaps we can't even picture yet. But once it does and we get there, we'll consider that our new normal, our new status quo. It's going to be fine. So look at little things on a day-to-day basis as temporary and see how that changes perhaps your perspective and how you actually use your coping skills to get through a situation. All right, I left you in the most wonderful fold, didn't I? Deep inhale. Loud exhale, sink it down just a tad deeper. And then you can use your hands to just push your way up off your legs. Perfect. Go ahead and sweep the legs back in. Take them to Sukhasana, easy pose, or I always prefer Siddhasana. It's totally up to you. And then just close your eyes here for a moment. Just let the legs relax. Feel the muscles that were hanging onto that fold succumbing to peace. We are inhaling Suhka. We are exhaling whatever's in our way of obtaining that. I want you to keep your eyes closed, but recognize that sitting on your mat, you are in a good space. I want you to recognize that your physical body is in a good space. I want you to recognize that your mental body is in a good space. And that your emotional body is in a very good space. Just tap into how that feels. And then let's take this peacefulness and this good space we're in physically and turn it into a better space by getting ready for Shavasana. So if there are any props that you want as you come on down into corpse pose, feel free to grab them. Bring your peaceful mental and emotional bodies with you. No reason for anything to change, just because the physical body is changing positions. And then when you get all the way down here on your back, take a deep inhale through the nose. Cleansing exhale. And go ahead and enjoy your good space. You'll know when Shavasana is over when you hear my voice come back to get you. Take your focus to your breath and allow your breath to slowly deepen. You can explore some movement in the hands, the feet, or anywhere else that wants to move. And then if you want to, you can stay on your back for another moment or so. If you would prefer to roll into a fetal position, go right ahead. And then very peacefully make your way back up to any seated pose you like best. Strong breath in through the nose. Loud exhale. Inhale both arms up. Bring the palms together and exhale the hands back home to your heart in prayer pose. The light in me bows to the light in you. And when I'm in that place in me and you're in that place in you, then we become one. Namaste.